What just happened in the UK is in the Bible. November 3rd, 2025. While most of the world was focused on elections, conflicts, and economic news, something happened in the United Kingdom that stopped prophetic watchers dead in their tracks. The UK government made an announcement. You will be shocked when you discover 5 findings about this announcement. Discovery 1. The announcement that changed everything. November 3rd, 2025. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper and Digital Minister Peter Kyle stand before the cameras and announce the Brit card. Let me read you the exact description from the government's press release because every word matters here. Brit card is a free, government-issued digital identity intended to become mandatory for all UK citizens and legal residents within the next 18 to 24 months. Brit card will serve as the cornerstone of a unified national identity infrastructure, integrating previously fragmented systems, NHS numbers, driving licenses, tax IDs, into a single biometric-linked digital profile. Read that again. A single biometric-linked digital profile. Everything about you connected to your biological data, managed by the government, soon to be mandatory. They're not saying we're creating a totalitarian control grid. They're saying we're making life more convenient. We're protecting you from fraud. We're streamlining services. But let me show you what this system actually is. Let me break down the features, because this is where it gets very, very concerning. Feature number 1, biometric enrollment. To get a Brit card, you must undergo biometric enrollment. That means facial recognition scan and fingerprint scan. These are required, not optional, required. You'll either go in person to a post office to have these scans done, or you'll use a certified app that captures your facial biometrics and fingerprints through your smartphone camera and screen. Your face, your fingerprints, captured, stored, linked permanently to your identity. Now, think about the biblical description we're going to examine in Discovery 2. The mark on the right hand or the forehead. Keep that in mind as we go through this. Feature number 2, centralized database. All of this data, your biometrics, your personal information, your entire identity, will be stored in what they're calling the National Identity Register, version 2 or NIR2. Now, this is significant because the UK actually tried to do this before. In 2006, they attempted to create a national ID card system with a central database. It was massively unpopular. Civil liberties groups protested, and it was eventually scrapped in 2010. So why are they trying again? And why now? The government says technology has improved. Security is better. The threats are greater. We need this for protection. But here's what's actually different this time. The infrastructure exists now. The digital systems are in place. The banking integration is ready. The surveillance technology has matured. And most importantly, they've learned how to sell it better. Feature number 3, mandatory integration. This is where it gets really invasive. Brit card isn't just an ID card you carry in your wallet. It's mandatory integration with every essential service in your life. Banking. You'll need Brit card to open a bank account, get a mortgage, or conduct large cash transactions. NHS and health records. Your medical history, prescriptions, treatment records, all connected to Brit card. Travel. E-gates at airports, train stations, rail passes, all requiring Brit card verification. Employment and benefits. You won't be able to work legally or receive government assistance without Brit card. Online age verification. Under Ofcom rules, Accessing certain websites and services will require Brit card authentication. Let me emphasize this. Every essential service, every part of normal life, all connected, all controlled through this single system. Feature number 4, the timeline. Now, here's where the government's strategy becomes clear. They're not implementing this all at once. They're doing it in phases. Phase 1, 2026. Voluntary opt-in with incentives. They'll offer faster services, easier access, convenience benefits for early adopters. Get people used to it. Make it seem normal. Phase 2, 2027, first quarter. Required for new bank accounts, mortgages, and large cash transactions. Now it's not voluntary anymore, but they'll say, well, you can still function without it. Just not as easily. Phase 3, 2028, full mandate. No Brit card equals no access to essential services. You cannot work, you cannot bank, you cannot travel, you cannot function in society. Keep that timeline in mind. 2026 to 2028. 3 years from voluntary to mandatory. From convenience to control. From optional to essential for survival. Feature number 5, real-time tracking. And here's the feature they're not advertising heavily, but it's in the technical specifications. Location metadata will be logged when Brit card is used. Every time you tap in on the tube, every time you verify your identity at a bank, every time you access a government service, your location is recorded, your movements are tracked, your patterns are analyzed. They'll say it's for security, to prevent fraud, to catch criminals. And there is some truth to that. But the capability exists for total surveillance, for knowing where every person is at every moment, for tracking, monitoring, and controlling the entire population. Now, let me show you the full picture of what this creates. Imagine a system where your biological data, face and fingerprints, is stored in a government database. Every financial transaction requires verification through this system. Every essential service, banking, healthcare, travel, employment, is connected. Non-compliance results in automatic exclusion from society. Does that sound like anything you've read about in the Bible? But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's go to Scripture. Discovery 2, the biblical prophecy, Revelation 13. Turn with me to Revelation chapter 13. We're going to read verses 16 through 18, and I want you to pay attention to every single detail, because what you're about to read isn't ancient history, it's current events. Revelation 13, 16 to 18. It also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark, which is the name of the beast, or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. Let me break down exactly what John is describing here, phrase by phrase, because this prophecy has been studied, debated, and speculated about for nearly 2,000 years. And suddenly, in November 2025, it's not speculative anymore. It's policy. It also forced all people. The "it" here refers back to the second beast described earlier in Revelation 13. This beast rises from the earth, has authority from the first beast, the Antichrist, and acts as the enforcer of the mark system. This is the false prophet. This is the religious/political figure who implements the control system on behalf of the Antichrist. But notice what John says, forced all people. Not some people, not volunteers, not those who choose to participate. All people, universal, mandatory, enforced, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave. John is emphasizing that no one escapes this system. It doesn't matter if you're powerful or powerless, wealthy or destitute, in a position of authority or totally subjugated. Everyone is subject to the same requirement. This is important because throughout history, there have always been ways for the elite to opt out of inconvenient systems. Laws that apply to common people, but not to rulers. Requirements that affect the poor, but not the rich. But the mark system is different. It's universal. Every class, every status, every level of society, all people will be forced to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads. Now we get to the specific implementation. A mark. The Greek word is charagma, which can mean a stamp, an engraving, a brand, or an etching, something visible or embedded. Location, right hand or forehead. These are very specific body parts. Not the left hand, not the arm, not the chest, the right hand or the forehead. Why these locations? There are several theories. The hand is used for work and transactions. The forehead is visible and associated with identity and allegiance. These are the most practical locations for a system designed to control commerce and verify identity. But here's what's critical. This is described as something on or in the body. It's not a card you carry. It's not a password you memorize. It's something physically connected to your biological being, so that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark. Here's the purpose. Here's the function. Here's why the mark exists. Economic control. No one can buy or sell without it. That means you can't purchase food. You can't pay rent. You can't receive a salary. You can't access your savings. You can't conduct any economic transaction whatsoever. Total economic exclusion. Complete financial lockout. Absolute control over who gets to participate in commerce and who doesn't. This isn't just inconvenient. This is survival-level control. If you can't buy food, you starve. If you can't pay for shelter, you're homeless. If you can't access money, you're completely dependent on those who have the mark. Which is the name of the beast, or the number of its name? The mark itself contains identifying information, either the name of the beast, the Antichrist, or the number associated with his name. This means the mark is both a control mechanism and a declaration of allegiance. Taking the mark isn't just participating in an economic system. It's declaring loyalty to the beast. It's identifying yourself as belonging to him. And that's why, later in Revelation, those who take the mark face eternal judgment. It's not just a practical decision. It's a spiritual choice with eternal consequences. This calls for wisdom. John is telling us that understanding this prophecy requires wisdom. It requires insight. It requires careful thought and spiritual discernment. For 2,000 years, believers have tried to figure out what this mark would be. Every generation has had its theories. Every era has had its candidates. The Roman Empire? The mark was loyalty to Caesar. Every single generation has looked at the technology and systems of their time and said, this could be the mark. And every single time, it wasn't quite right. The parallels were there, but the full picture didn't match. Some elements fit, but others didn't. Until now. Let the person who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 666. This is the most famous part of the prophecy. 666. the number of the beast, the number of a man. For centuries, people have used gematria, the practice of assigning numerical values to letters, to try to identify the Antichrist by calculating whose name equals 666. Nero Caesar, various popes, countless others. But here's what we need to understand about this number. It's not just a clue for identifying the Antichrist, it's part of the mark system itself. The mark contains either the name or the number. So the number 666 is connected to how the system functions, how it identifies people, how it tracks and controls. Now, before we move on, I need to address something directly. I am not saying Brit card is the mark of the beast. Let me be very clear about that. The actual mark of the beast will be implemented by the Antichrist during the tribulation period, after the rapture of the church. But here's what I am saying. Brit card is the infrastructure. It's the system. It's the framework. Think of it this way. If you were going to build a house, you'd start with the foundation, the framework, the infrastructure. You'd run the electrical wiring, install the plumbing, build the structure. And then, at the very end, you'd move in and actually live there. That's what we're seeing with Brit card. The infrastructure is being built, the framework is being put in place, the wiring is being installed, the system is being tested and implemented. And when the Antichrist arrives, he won't have to build this system from scratch. It will already exist. He'll just have to take control of it, rebrand it, and require allegiance to him as a condition of participation. The house is being built right now. The Antichrist just hasn't moved in yet. But let me show you how precise the parallels are. Let me take you through, point by point, how Brit card maps onto the Revelation 13 prophecy. And I think you're going to be stunned by how exact the connections are. Discovery. 3. The undeniable parallels. I'm going to present this as a direct comparison. On one side, the biblical description from Revelation 13. On the other side, the Brit card features announced November 3rd. And I want you to judge for yourself whether these parallels are coincidence or something more. Parallel number 1. Mandatory for all people. Biblical text. Forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave. Brit card reality. Mandatory for all UK citizens and legal residents by 2028. No exceptions. The government has explicitly stated that by 2028, you cannot access essential services without Brit card. Doesn't matter if you're wealthy or poor. Doesn't matter if you're a member of parliament or unemployed. Doesn't matter if you're a business owner or a student. Everyone must have Brit card. The parallel is exact. Universal mandatory participation. Parallel number 2. Cannot buy or sell without it. Biblical text. So that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark. Brit card reality. Starting in 2027 Q1, you cannot open a bank account, get a mortgage, or conduct large cash transactions without Brit card. By 2028, full mandate means no access to employment, banking, or financial services. Let me be explicit about what this means. If you refuse Brit card, you cannot get paid for work. Employment requires Brit card. You cannot access your existing bank accounts. Banking integration is mandatory. You cannot purchase property or sign rental agreements. You cannot receive government benefits or pensions. You cannot legally conduct business transactions. In other words, you cannot buy or sell, exactly as Revelation describes. But wait, someone might say, you can still use cash. Can you? For how long? And how do you get cash if you can't access your bank account? How do you earn cash if employers require Brit card to pay you? The reality is, Refusal of Brit card means complete economic exclusion. Just like refusal of the mark will mean complete economic exclusion. The parallel is undeniable. And here's the detail that has prophecy watchers extremely concerned. Each Brit card is linked to a unique 18-digit national identity number called NIN2. 18 digits. That's 6 plus 6 plus 6. Now, I know numerology can be taken too far. I know people can find patterns anywhere if they look hard enough, but this isn't obscure. This isn't hidden. The national identity number is literally 18 digits, and 18 is 3 sixes. Is that the 666 of Revelation? Not necessarily. In October 2025, the Bank of England confirmed that digital pound wallets, when the central bank digital currency is fully implemented, will require Brit card verification. Let me connect these dots for you. The UK is developing a digital pound, a central bank digital currency, programmable money, money that can be tracked, controlled, restricted, and turned off remotely. And access to this digital currency will require Brit card. So we have a mandatory biometric digital ID, Brit card. A digital currency that requires the ID to access, digital pound. A cashless society being accelerated through payment regulations. A timeline, 2027 to 2028 for full implementation. That's not just infrastructure for a future mark. That's the complete economic control system that Revelation 13 describes, built and ready to deploy. And if you're not concerned yet, if you're still thinking, well, maybe it's just practical governance, let me show you the deception pattern. Because how they're selling this is just as prophetic as what they're actually building. Discovery. 4. The deception pattern. Peace and safety. There's another crucial prophetic text that applies to what we're seeing with Brit card, and it's found in Paul's first letter to the Thessalonians. 1 Thessalonians 5:3. While people are saying, peace and safety, destruction will come on them suddenly, as labor pains on a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. Peace and safety. That phrase is the key to understanding how end times deception works. It's not that the Antichrist will announce himself as evil. It's not that the mark system will be presented as tyranny. It's that evil will be packaged as good. Slavery will be sold as freedom. Control will be marketed as security. Peace and safety. That's the sales pitch. That's the deception. Let me read you the actual marketing language from the government's campaign. Brit card, safer banking, faster travel, fraud-proof identification. Protect yourself and your family from identity theft. Streamline your life with one secure, convenient identity. Peace of mind in a digital world. Peace and safety. Exactly as Paul predicted. But let's look at the Trojan horse strategy they're using. Phase 1. Make it voluntary and appealing. 2026. Brit card is completely optional. It's just for those who want faster, easier access to services. You don't have to get it if you don't want to. But wouldn't your life be easier with it? This is the conditioning phase. Get early adopters. Create social proof. Make it seem normal and desirable. Phase 2. Create inconvenience for non-participants. 2027. Q1. Well, you can still live without Brit card, but you can't open a new bank account, or get a mortgage, or make large purchases easily. But it's still technically voluntary. This is the pressure phase. Make it increasingly difficult to function without the system. Create friction and frustration for those who resist. Phase 3. Make it absolutely mandatory. 2028. Okay, now it's required. No Brit card means no access to anything, but we gave you 2 years to adjust. This is for everyone's safety and security. The trap is sprung. You're either in the system or you're excluded from society. This strategy isn't new. It's been used throughout history to implement unpopular policies. Make it voluntary. Create incentives. Increase pressure. Then mandate compliance. And by the time people realize what's happened, they're already trapped.